Portion of this video is sponsored by Paperlike. So it took me a year to understand this iPad. If you ever looked at iPad and thought, why would I or anyone spend like laptop money on that? I get it. I've used every iPad since the original. It looks like a big iPhone box. iPad, some sort of tech specs on the back, and I still feel that way. But this new one, the current one, made me realize something that I didn't want to admit about all the other ones before it. And it happened in like one moment, sort of so small, but so clear that I completely reframed how I think about the iPad. Like I said, I've used every iPad since the original back in 2010. I've seen the bezel shrink, the performance skyrocket, and the price, I'm just gonna say that grew with confidence. And now I've been living with the 11-inch M4 iPad Pro. My model is 1 terabyte in cellular since launch, and that was almost exactly a year ago. So this isn't like a hands-on or first impressions video. This is like the final review, the long-term verdict after like real everyday use. And even after all that history, this iPad hit different. Because at home, I'm not doing anything wild with it. I am like watching YouTube, I'm scrolling TikTok, replying to emails, browsing the web, like very chill. And honestly, for all of that, it is 100% overkill. The regular iPad or iPad Air could handle those things just fine. But the reason I don't regret going full pro because of the few moments where I need it to absolutely deliver, and I just know that this one will. Not that the Air couldn't do those things, it probably could, but I'd be wondering. I'd be checking file sizes, watching battery percentages, probably second guessing whether it can handle the pressure. With the Pro, I don't have to think twice. When I'm traveling, the iPad isn't a sidekick, it is the main machine. I don't bring a laptop with me, I don't bring backups. Like, this is it. And that makes reliability everything. If I'm editing a last minute video in a hotel room, jumping between apps with Stage Manager 100% turned off, uploading assets over spotty Wi-Fi connection, it just has to work for me. No hiccups, no lags, no waiting. Now I definitely don't need this level of power every single day at all. But when I do, when the job matters or conditions aren't ideal, I'm usually thankful that I have it. And the Pro isn't just about like doing more. I think it's about doing it like confidently, without hesitation, exactly when it counts. So this iPad, first from a design standpoint, is so thin, feels like a fake demo unit Apple accidentally like sent me. Like it's thinner than the USB-C cable that I charge it with, and that alone I think still makes it feel futuristic even a year later. One of the biggest things with the Pro and why people would consider it is the display. Apple is giving us what they're calling tandem OLED, which basically means 2 stacks of OLED panels to crank up brightness without sacrificing black levels. And the result, it is ridiculous. Blacks are so deep they disappear, not like slightly darker gray, like with mini LED, but like deep blacks, like gone. Recently I've been watching Last of Us Season 2 on this thing, especially during those like moody, shadow-heavy scenes. It feels like you're holding like a mini cinematic experience. That kind of contrast makes you want to rewatch scenes you've already seen because they look so good now. And then there's the color. Everything's more vivid but not overly saturated. Skin tones still look natural. Nature scenes pop, and animation looks absolutely incredible. I was rewatching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and like I swear it looked better on the iPad than on my like really nice living room TV. Bright neon, punchy highlights, crazy details, all of it just feels like hyper real. It also gets seriously bright, like sit on the patio in full sunlight and still watch comfortably bright. Oh, it does get warm in those situations. What's weird though, is after a few days and then weeks and months, my brain just accepted it. The screen totally became invisible in like the best way possible. You stop noticing how good it is until you go back to something else. So I picked up an older iPad recently and the display looked like almost foggy. Not broken, just like really flat. I think that's when it hits you. The screen really quietly raised the bar, I think without asking for attention. So just real quick, if you're using your iPad Pro or any iPad for anything beyond like scrolling TikTok, things like taking notes, sketching, or just sort of reading without fighting your own reflection, you gotta check out this video sponsor, Paperlike. You probably heard of them. It's technically a screen protector, but it does way more than just like save you from scratches. It gives your iPad this like soft papery texture, hence paper-like, that totally changes how the Apple Pencil feels on it. Instead of like gliding around like you're writing on a frozen windshield, it feels actually like a notebook. Sort of that tactile feedback is super satisfying. What makes all that work is microscopic nanodots. They just sort of add the right amount of resistance, so you've got way more control without kind of messing with the sharpness of your screen. So whether you are like bullet journaling or sketching up an next big idea, the precision really feels way better. And if you don't do any of that, like the glare reduction, honestly is wild. It's like putting sunglasses on your screen. Way easier on the eyes, especially if you're using it in bright light. It's kind of like Apple's kind of fancy matte coating that they charge you for, but this one works on any iPad for a fraction of the price. We've been using it for a while on all of our iPads. And it's one of those upgrades that makes the whole just iPad experience feel more personal and way more usable and 100% worth it. If you want to learn more or pick one up, we got a link in the description. On the performance side, it's Apple Silicon. Of course, it's fast. M4 is a beast, but to be honest, so was the M2 and the M1 as well. It's not really about speed anymore. I think with Apple's processor, it's about headroom. This iPad will still feel snappy probably 5 years from now. And for my home use, again, media, web, email, occasional editing, it's more power than I need. That's why I bought it. Battery life has been fine, not terrible, not mind-blowing. I think it comes down to what apps you're using. If you're just like living in like Safari, Notes, and Mail, you're going to be like golden. But if you're deep into third-party apps, into TikTok especially, the battery starts dropping faster than I'd like. It's one of those things where your experience will 100% depend on your sort of habits and third-party app usage. Personally, I've accepted that TikTok is both a time thief and a battery thief. I'm not really proud of it. A big update too with this iPad was the Magic Keyboard. And the thing is, it's actually good. It's thinner and lighter. The aluminum talk deck makes it feel more like a real laptop. Typing experience is good, it's much better. The trackpad definitely is much better. And suddenly this isn't just like a tablet with a keyboard. It was a device that I wanted to start typing on, which is a big deal considering I take it on every trip, again, as my one and only computer. I also just want to throw a mention to the Apple Pencil, especially the Pro here. Although in full honesty, I am not a pencil guy. I don't want to pretend that I am. I don't draw, I don't have the talent to illustrate. I sometimes use it for notes, it's great for that. The new features like haptics and squeeze gestures are cool, but for my use, they're invisible. If you're into digital art, it's probably a big step up. For me, it's a nice stylus that I generally forget to charge. All right, so I got my iPad, the first one with cellular. And for years, I just thought I didn't need it. Like, why if I can just tether? But then I had a family road trip last summer. We went to Carmel Valley. It was beautiful, never been there before. And where we were staying was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and they didn't have Wi-Fi. My phone service was barely there. I'm on T-Mobile. And we had a video that we had to pull down and re-upload to get it up in time for a sponsor, and tethering was failing me. But my iPad, running its own eSIM with AT&T, had a really clean signal. Upload was done, deadline hit, business kept moving. And at that moment, I probably would have paid any price for the iPad, and that moment sold me. Is cellular worth it? Not for everyone at all. But if you travel for work or remotely, it is not a gimmick. And in my case, it was insurance. But it's not all golden. It's like iPad OS, which still, even this long into its life cycle, still feels like it's holding the iPad back. The file system is clunky. I want something that works like Finder. Drag, drop, organize, like just basic stuff. But even now, managing files feels like you're constantly bumping up against like an invisible set of rules. It is not intuitive. It slows me down every single time I try to do something more complex and just open up a document. And there's that home screen that you stare at. It is still weirdly locked down. I like that I can move icons anywhere I want, but things like the spacing between those icons is massive. And I can't really resize things the way I want. I've got all the screen real estate, and if I can't use it the way that actually makes sense to me, like, what's the point? And it's clearly not like hardware limited. That part's incredible. It's the software that keeps getting in the iPad's way. And I keep waiting for iPad OS to catch up to its hardware, and every year it seems like it gets a little bit closer, but it is still not here. Big update this year with Stage Manager. I turned it off almost immediately, just in all candor. I did try it again for this review, and I still don't like it. Maybe if I like forced myself to use it, I would grow into it. Right now, it feels like a feature looking for a purpose. I use split screen occasionally, but every time I do, I kind of wish I had gotten 13-inch iPad instead. The 11 doesn't have enough screen real estate for it to feel good. Apple talks a lot about how this can replace your PC, and when I travel, sure, It was interesting how this started replacing my phone at home. I don't know if I'm alone, maybe you guys have the same use case. This is my first 11-inch iPad that I've had. I think I've been underestimating how approachable that size really is. It's light, easy to hold, and makes me want to pick it up. And like for videos, movies, and casual scrolling, it's taken over a lot of screen time from my phone. But to be clear, only replace my MacBook when I travel at home. Plenty of other things that are just faster, easier, and more natural on a laptop. And the iPad can technically do those things, but you're always like working around iPad OS. You're bending your workflow instead of the device bending to you. And that brings me back to the bigger picture. The iPad is absurdly powerful. It is beautifully made. It is not a laptop. It is not a phone. It is not a desktop. It is its own thing. And for a long time, I was trying to force it into one of those other roles or worlds. Like I wanted it to be a MacBook when I had to get work done. I wanted it to be a giant iPhone when I was watching videos. And I kept getting frustrated that it didn't quite fit either mold. But once I stopped expecting it to act like something else, once I just kind of let it be what it is, I finally started to appreciate the value here. This is a device that lives in a weird in-between zone, but in like the best way possible. It's light enough to carry anywhere. It's powerful enough to get serious tasks done, and still personal enough to feel like your own screen, like your space. It's not trying to replace everything despite what Apple's marketing tells you. It is really good at being itself. And for me, that's more useful than any label. So a year later, it's not perfect. But this iPad finally made me stop trying to force it to be something that it's not. Start appreciating it for what it is. And after almost a year of living with it every day, I can confidently say this iPad still holds up. The screen, the design, the performance, overall experience, it hasn't just aged well, it's still stayed ahead. If anything, it's made me more certain that I made the right choice. So if you're wondering whether it's still worth it after all this time, for me it is an absolute yes. Let me know in the comments how you use your iPad and sort of what's the one thing holding you back from upgrading. And if this helped, give it a like or subscribe, we appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.